Hey guys, you won't believe what happened to me yesterday. It was one of those days that started off pretty normal but ended up being anything but. Let me take you through the whole experience. I came home from a long day at the studio feeling totally wiped. You know those days when you just want to collapse and forget the world exists? Yeah, it was one of those. All I wanted was to crash on the couch and binge watch some classic sitcoms. I had my heart set on a Friends marathon, maybe even throw in some Seinfeld for good measure. But as I walked up to my front door, I spotted something strange. It was like a scene straight out of a mystery novel. It was a package just sitting there on my doorstep. Not your typical Amazon delivery or anything like that. Now, I get a lot of fan mail, which is awesome. Seriously, you guys are the best. I love reading your letters and seeing the cool stuff you send. But this package was different. It had an air of mystery about it, almost like it was hiding something important. It was larger than usual, wrapped in plain brown paper, and there was no return address. No sender information, nothing to give away who it was from. My curiosity was officially piqued. What could it be? My mind started racing with possibilities. Was it a late birthday present? Maybe someone had forgotten to send it on time and decided to surprise me. A prank from one of my buddies? They do love to mess with me, and this seemed like something they would do. I couldn't resist finding out. The suspense was too much to handle. I cautiously picked up the package. It was surprisingly heavy, heavier than I expected for something that size. I gave it a little shake, but there was no sound. Whatever was inside was packed tightly. Man, the suspense was killing me. I felt like a kid on Christmas morning, eager to tear open the wrapping paper. I couldn't wait any longer. I had to know what was inside. I grabbed my keys, fumbled with the lock, and finally stepped inside my house. My heart was pounding with excitement and a bit of nervousness. I placed the package on the kitchen table and took a deep breath. This was it, the moment of truth. I grabbed a pair of scissors and carefully cut through the tape. The anticipation was almost unbearable. As I lifted the flaps of the box, I peered inside. What I saw left me speechless. Inside the box was a collection of old photographs and letters. They looked like they were from decades ago. I carefully picked up one of the photos. It was black and white, showing a group of people standing in front of an old house. The letters were handwritten in beautiful cursive. They seemed to tell a story, but I couldn't make out all the details just yet. Who were these people? And why had this package been sent to me? I had so many questions. I started to wonder if these people were somehow connected to me. Maybe they were distant relatives or had some other link to my family. I spent the next few hours going through the contents of the box. There were more photos, letters, and even some old documents. One of the documents was an old map. It looked like it was from the early 1900s, showing a small town that I didn't recognize. As I pieced together the clues, I realized that this package was a treasure trove of history. It was like a window into the past. I found a family portrait that looked eerily familiar. Could these people be my ancestors? One of the letters was particularly touching. It was written by a woman to her husband, expressing her love and longing for him. At the bottom of the box, I found a small locket. Inside was a tiny photo of the same woman from the letter. I realized that this package was more than just a collection of old items. It was a piece of my family's history, a connection to my roots. I felt a deep sense of gratitude for whoever had sent this to me. They had given me a priceless gift. The mystery of the package was solved, but it had opened up a whole new world of questions and discoveries. I spent the rest of the evening immersed in the past, feeling a connection to my ancestors that I had never felt before. As the sun set, I felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. This unexpected package had turned an ordinary day into an extraordinary journey. So if you ever find a mysterious package on your doorstep, don't be afraid to open it. You never know what amazing surprises might be waiting inside. With the mysterious package in hand, I felt a mix of excitement and curiosity bubbling up inside me. The package was wrapped in plain brown paper, giving away no hints about its contents. It was neither too heavy nor too light, just the right weight to pique my interest. I wondered who could have sent it and what it might contain. The possibilities seemed endless, and my mind was already racing with ideas. I made a beeline for the kitchen, my go-to place for thinking things through. The kitchen, with its familiar smells and comforting atmosphere, always helped me clear my mind. As I walked, I could feel the cool tiles under my feet, grounding me in the moment. The hum of the refrigerator and the soft clinking of dishes in the sink added to the sense of normalcy, even as my thoughts swirled with anticipation. I figured I'd grab a refreshing drink before diving into the unknown. Opening the fridge, I was greeted by the sight of neatly arranged bottles and containers. I reached for a cold glass of iced tea, the condensation on the glass cool against my fingers. The simple act of choosing a drink gave me a moment to collect my thoughts and prepare for whatever lay ahead. As I rummaged through the fridge, my mind raced with possibilities. Could it be a new gadget from a tech company hoping for a shout-out on the show? Or maybe a delicious cake from a bakery I'd featured on one of our segments? The more I thought about it, the more my curiosity grew. Each possibility seemed more intriguing than the last, and I couldn't wait to find out what was inside. Could it be a new gadget from a tech company hoping for a shout-out on the show? The thought of a sleek, innovative device made my heart race a little faster. I imagined unboxing a cutting-edge piece of technology, something that would make my viewers' jaws drop. Or maybe it was a prototype, something not yet available to the public, sent to me for an exclusive first look. The idea was thrilling, and I couldn't help but smile at the thought. Or maybe a delicious cake from a bakery I'd featured on one of our segments. The memory of the bakery's mouth-watering pastries made my stomach growl. I could almost taste the rich, creamy frosting and the soft, fluffy cake. If it was a cake, it would be a delightful treat, a sweet surprise to brighten my day. The thought of sharing it with friends and family made the idea even more appealing. I finally settled on a cold glass of iced tea and carried the package over to the living room. The living room, with its cozy furniture and warm lighting, was the perfect place to unwrap the mystery. I placed the glass on the coffee table, the ice clinking softly as it settled. The package sat beside it, waiting patiently for me to reveal its secrets. Placing it on the coffee table, I took a deep breath and began to carefully peel away the brown paper. The anticipation was palpable. Each tear of the paper seemed to echo in the quiet room, heightening the sense of suspense. I could feel my heart beating faster, my hands trembling slightly with excitement. What secrets did this enigmatic package hold? The question lingered in my mind, adding to the thrill of the moment. What secrets did this enigmatic package hold? As I continued to unwrap it, I couldn't help but imagine all the possibilities. Maybe it was a rare book, a first edition of a classic novel, or perhaps it was a piece of art, a painting or sculpture from a talented artist. The more I thought about it, the more my excitement grew. Each possibility seemed more intriguing than the last, and I couldn't wait to find out what was inside. As the last of the paper fell away, I couldn't believe my eyes. It was a vintage board game. The sight of it took me back to my childhood, to long afternoons spent playing games with friends and family. The box was in pristine condition, the colors vibrant and the artwork detailed. I could hardly believe it. This wasn't just any board game, it was something special, something that held a deep personal significance for me. It was a vintage board game. The realization hit me like a wave, bringing with it a flood of memories. I remembered the excitement of opening the box for the first time, the thrill of learning the rules and strategizing with friends. The game had been a favorite of mine, a source of endless fun and laughter. Seeing it again after all these years was like reconnecting with an old friend. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good board game night. There's something special about gathering around a table with friends and family, the camaraderie and friendly competition. But this wasn't just any board game. This was a rare, out-of-print edition of my all-time favorite childhood game, Space Explorers. The game had been a huge part of my childhood, a source of countless happy memories. But this wasn't just any board game. It was a rare, out-of-print edition of my all-time favorite childhood game, Space Explorers. The game had been a huge part of my childhood, a source of countless happy memories. I remembered the excitement of exploring new planets, the thrill of discovering alien life forms, and the joy of working together with friends to complete missions. The game had sparked my imagination and fueled my love for science fiction. It was a rare, out-of-print edition of my all-time favorite childhood game, Space Explorers. The sight of it brought back a flood of memories, each one more vivid than the last. I remembered the excitement of opening the box for the first time, the thrill of learning the rules and strategizing with friends. The game had been a favorite of mine, a source of endless fun and laughter. Seeing it again after all these years was like reconnecting with an old friend. I couldn't wait to play it again, to relive those happy memories and create new ones. I was completely floored. I hadn't seen this game in decades. Memories of countless hours spent playing with my siblings came flooding back. We used to spend entire summer afternoons huddled around the game board, blasting off to distant planets and battling intergalactic villains. It was pure, unadulterated fun. Carefully, I lifted the lid of the game box. Inside, everything was in pristine condition. The colorful game board, the miniature spaceships, the deck of adventure cards. It was like opening a time capsule from my childhood. I couldn't help but smile. I gently picked up one of the miniature spaceships, its paint still bright and shiny. As I held it in my hand, I was transported back to my childhood bedroom, the sound of laughter and playful arguments filling the air. It was a powerful and unexpected wave of nostalgia. For a moment, I just sat there on the couch, lost in thought. My mind was racing, trying to piece together the puzzle that had just landed on my doorstep. It was a quiet afternoon, the kind where the ticking of the clock seems louder than usual, and the sunlight filters through the curtains in a warm, golden hue. I had been planning to spend the day catching up on some reading, maybe even taking a nap, but now, all I could think about was the mysterious package that had appeared out of nowhere. How did this game end up on my doorstep after all these years? It was a game I hadn't seen or thought about in decades, a relic from my childhood that had somehow found its way back to me. The package was plain, unassuming, with no markings or labels to give away its sender. It was as if it had been plucked from the past and dropped into the present, a tangible link to a time long gone. Who sent it? And why? These questions swirled in my mind, each one more perplexing than the last. I couldn't think of anyone who would have known about this game, let alone gone to the trouble of sending it to me. It was a complete mystery, one that seemed to defy explanation. It was a complete mystery. I turned the package over in my hands, examining it from every angle. The paper was thick and sturdy, the kind you don't see much of these days. It had a certain weight to it, a sense of importance that made me feel like I was holding something significant. But there was no return address, no card, no message, nothing at all. I carefully examined the package again, hoping to find a clue, a note, anything that could shed some light on its origin. But there was nothing. No hidden compartments, no secret messages, just the game and its box, as pristine as the day I had last seen it. It was as if the package had materialized out of thin air, a ghost from my past come to haunt me. No return address, no card, no message, nothing at all. It was as if the package had materialized out of thin air. The more I thought about it, the stranger it seemed. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to this, something I was missing. But what? It was as if the package had materialized out of thin air. The more I thought about it, the stranger it seemed. I couldn't help but wonder if this was some kind of elaborate prank or perhaps a gift from someone who wanted to remain anonymous. But who would go to such lengths? And why this game of all things? The more I thought about it, the stranger it seemed. I decided to put the mystery aside for a moment and simply enjoy the rediscovery of this beloved childhood treasure. It had been so long since I had last seen it, and the memories it brought back were too precious to ignore. I carefully laid out the game board on the coffee table, my fingers tracing the familiar paths and spaces. I decided to put the mystery aside for a moment and simply enjoy the rediscovery of this beloved childhood treasure. As I set up the game, I couldn't help but smile. It was like reuniting with an old friend, one who had been with me through countless adventures and shared countless laughs. The game board was just as I remembered it, every detail etched into my memory. I carefully laid out the game board on the coffee table, my fingers tracing the familiar paths and spaces. Each piece, each card, each tiny detail brought back a flood of memories. I could almost hear the laughter of my friends, the excitement of a close game, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. It was all there, waiting to be relived. It was like reuniting with an old friend. As I sat there, lost in the memories, I realized that the mystery of the package didn't matter as much as I had thought. What mattered was the joy it had brought me, the chance to reconnect with a part of my past that I had almost forgotten. And in that moment I felt a sense of gratitude for whoever had sent it and for the memories it had brought back to life.